there, fitness friends. Hey, brothers and sisters in recovery and mental health champions. Welcome to 40,000 Steps Live. I'm your host, Christopher Heimerman. I am not a licensed healthcare professional. I'm not a psychiatrist, not a counselor. I'm a guy with 651 days of sobriety under his belt. And I have a program that helps me stay on the water wagon. But it also, it's not just a matter of sobriety, right? We need to work a program as we manage our mental health in general. Which, again, let's hop ahead to the finish line. We need a program so that we can get the most out of this life that we can. That's what a program is all about, and I'm going to break mine down for you tonight. Like I said, I'm not a licensed healthcare professional, but I have one on the program tonight. A couple of months ago, we kicked off this show with my psychiatrist, Jada Butler. She became a fan favorite quickly, and by popular demand, she is back and joining us tonight. Excited to chat with her. We've also got some great stuff from our audience that we're going to discuss in the middle segment, the I Hear You segment. It's going to be a great show. Got some great stuff on tap. It's a great night for a run. It's 40,000 Steps Live. Let's get it. All right, folks. So up until now, in our first 7 episodes, holy smokes, we're on our 8th episode. How crazy is that? Up until now, we've talked about a lot of heavy stuff. And by that, I mean, we've talked about mental illness, we've talked about addiction, and we've sort of, I've shared my story and given you the lay of the land of what I've learned in my nearly 2 months of sobriety. But, the world operates on balance. You got the yin and you've got the yang, which I struggle to remember which is which. So anybody out there who's watching, go ahead and put it in the comments. Which is the good and the bad? Maybe it's not that simple. But tonight, I want to bring the sunshine. I want to dig into the good stuff that comes out of taking care of yourself, that comes out of making room in your life for the things that you do to do regular maintenance on your mental health, because that's what it is. It's regular maintenance. It's like with anything, you don't, finally at age 41, I no longer wait until my car breaks down to get it fixed. We actually get, regular oil changes and tire rotations and stuff. And you learn from your car breaking down a few times that you got to do regular maintenance, right? Well, we as humans, we're no different. We need to have our individualized programs, the things that we check off to make sure that that we're on schedule. So I'm going to break down what my program looks like. Really, it comes down to a few buckets. I've got fitness. I've got therapy and medication, mindfulness, meditation, spirituality, religion. Those kind of fall into the same bucket. And then overarching, I've got this accountability thing. And this is where I'm spoiled in that I have you guys and I adore you because you're here for me. We do this show every other week. I blog and I write and stuff. And it's like, that's my accountability, but that's my jam. Doing this speaks to my soul. Hearing from folks and knowing that we're having an impact is my jam. Not for everybody, right? I'm honest to a fault, which perhaps that's because for many years I was not honest about my drinking, and now it's cathartic, therapeutic, whatever you want to call it, to be honest. So, but let's explore these for a second. One of the big tenets of my program is fitness, and that means running, lifting weights, it means diet. And there's the science behind this. When you work out, you get all those feel-good chemicals, your serotonin, your dopamine, all that sort of stuff. But there's also a science behind literally just moving your body forward, whether you're walking, biking, jogging, whatever you're doing. And this is where I think maybe the treadmill has been holding us back for generations, don't you think? This fitness stuff is huge for me. And at the top of the pandemic, when our marathon, the Milwaukee Marathon, got canceled, that was tough. We still did the virtual. We ran for like 4 hours around DeKalb. It was miserable. So this year, because we're super vigilant about COVID protocols and stuff, we have decided that it's the year of the trail race. So Kayla and I are going to do a couple of shorter trail races during the summertime. And we just signed up for a 50K in the fall, the Hennepin 100. Don't put any stock into the 100. Someday, maybe I'll do 100. But a 50K is 31 miles. So we are training for that bad boy because I need something to work toward. Another aspect of fitness is sleep. I'm a firm believer that you gotta carve out enough time to sleep so your body can recharge. I'm a firm believer that you need at least 7 hours of sleep each night to have all of your pistons firing. And all this stuff with fitness is stuff that is very important to our guest tonight, Jada Butler. She's a psychiatrist, she's a counselor, she's also a marathoner. So I'm excited to talk with her about that. Another one of these buckets is therapy and medication. Oh, hi, Jada. I was connected with Jada when I got out of treatment, and we hit it off famously, and now every couple of months I see her, we do an evaluation to make sure that all my meds are working, and if we need to change things, we change things. But seeing her is a big part of my program. Next is mindfulness and meditation, and folks, I'll always shoot you straight. I need so much more consistency with meditation. I can tell you it is incredibly helpful. It is incredibly powerful. So why don't I do it? I don't know. I don't have a good excuse. But if I meditate 5 minutes every day, I notice an incredible difference in my personality. I'm thinking more clearly. I don't blow up as much. I'm a much more pleasant human being to be around. And the thing is, we can meditate anywhere. You can meditate at the traffic signal. You can meditate while you're waiting for virtually anything, waiting for dinner to be done. Breathe in for 8 seconds. Breathe out for 8 seconds. Feel the breath going in and out. That's it. There are no nuclear formulas or anything here. It's so easy. So meditation and mindfulness is huge for me. Because when we do that, we're able to ground ourselves in the moment and be right here, right now. Or as Garth Algar would say, live in the now. Garth, who knew that he was such a sage? Another area where I'm struggling is spirituality. And I talked with Pastor Wes about this a couple of episodes ago where my relationship with God needs a little bit of maintenance because I've struggled during the pandemic. So very aware of those things and need some shoring up. For some people, that religious component, that might be at the top of your list, right? That might be your safe place. You might, in this pandemic, feel closer to God than ever before because you're able to go to Him on a daily basis. And this is where these programs, no program is the same for two people, right? And it's funny, I was talking with the alumni director from Gateway Foundation, where I did my treatment a couple of years ago, and he didn't go through treatment, yet he's in long-term recovery. And in treatment, they emphasize AA big time. You might notice I didn't mention AA or Smart Recovery, which is the more secular, forum-based type of meeting that I prefer. I didn't mention them because I did AA for a while. I did Smart regularly. Every once in a while, still popping on a Smart meeting, but it's no longer one of those fixtures in my program because I have all the other things that work in harmony. I've struck that balance. To make a terrible joke, I found the right cocktail in my program that works for me. So, Jada Butler, my psychiatrist, she subscribes to a lot of the same prongs in a program as I do. And I want to tell you about a program that she's launching. It's an 8-week course called Soul Via Soul. Now, Soul Via Soul is going to help you slash your anxiety and help you live a healthy, fulfilling life. Go to soulviasole.com. That's SOULVIASOLE.com and click schedule consultation. And you're going to get a free 1-hour consultation with Jada to see if it's a good fit. I shouldn't have to tell you, a free hour-long session with a psychiatrist is quite a value. So her program is going to center on exercise, diet, meditation, generally exploring your higher purpose. It's going to build the foundation for a better life. So visit soulviasoul.com or find the group on Facebook. Again, that's soul, S-O-U-L, via, V-I-A, soul, like the sole of your shoe, SOLE.com. Make a commitment to yourself and to the life that you want with Soul Via Soul. So folks, I mentioned it that we have some great stuff for the I Hear You segment. We have an excellent question. Anytime you've got questions or comments for the program, send them to 40,000steps@gmail.com. That's 40000, no comma in there, 40,000steps@gmail.com. Whether you've got a question, a topic you'd like us to address, or if you got something to celebrate, please send them along to us, or always pop them in the comments as we do this live stream show as well. Great question coming up, and a little topic that I got lots of feedback on. This next segment is called I Hear You. Let's go. Hey, welcome back, gang. Welcome back to 40,000 Steps Live. I'm Christopher Heimerman, your humble host, and I'm excited because I got a wonderful question tonight. And here's how this game works. Anytime you send us a question, something you want to talk about, anytime you email us and we talk about what you send us on the air, you get 40,000 points. Rules of the game are simple. Everybody gets the 40,000 points. Everybody wins, because when we talk about this stuff, we're all better for it. Anytime we can take a sledgehammer or a hammer and chisel at that stigma and chip away at it is huge, because there's a lot of pockets of society that think that talking about this stuff makes you weak. Wrong. Wrongsauce.com. All right, folks. Ariel writes us, and Ariel is a rock star. This one breaks my heart, but I'm also really excited. She says, I had a sober date of February 15th, 2020, the day after getting drunk on Valentine's Day. Somehow made it through the pandemic sober until New Year's, when I faltered and I filled my wine glass with champagne, not sparkling grape juice, when my husband wasn't watching. So now January 1st is my new date, but because there's always alcohol in the house, I feel like it's just a matter of time until I screw up again. My husband is a craft beer brewer. It's a big part of his life. How do I tell him we can't keep alcohol in the house? Well, I'm going to tell you up front that I am very, very spoiled, Ariel, and I have no illusions about it, because this is an experience that I haven't had. However, right up front, I'm going to tell you that if it's a big part of his life, how about you? Surely you are a huge part of his life. And you're the foundation on which your life exists. That marriage, that love, that deep connection. So it's all a matter of prioritizing. And maybe, I'm not sure whether you've really been explicit with him yet, that it not only bothers you, but it makes you feel like any time that you could slip up. I don't know, maybe that gets through to him. But you really have to, look, first off, before I keep spewing advice, I need to commend you for getting through 2020, getting all the way to New Year's without taking a drink. I think all of us need to give you a standing ovation. I'm already standing, so I'm just going to clap. I think Jada is going to be able to help us answer this a little bit in the next segment. I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage because I'm at a bit of an advantage, ironically. My wife has been sober for over a year on account of the fact that I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that she wanted to support me, but I think she also discovered, this is the beauty of it, she doesn't miss alcohol. I'm sure that she has her moments when a margarita during the summertime would be great, or, a white Russian in the dead of winter, but we don't have alcohol in the house. And I'm eternally grateful for that. So I suppose from that perspective, maybe, if you explicitly tell him that you want a good life and that you want that for him as well, and this is something that you need him to do, be explicit with him. draw a line. I hope you have some success with that. But stay tuned, because we're going to talk to Jada in a few. Maybe she can add on to that. So I put out a little call to action on the Facebook, and I asked people, what are some ways that you're doing regular mental health maintenance? And I got a ton of responses, and I picked out some of my favorites. Here, my friend Jill says, eating more whole foods and less processed foods. Boom, love it. Processed foods, here, this might blow your mind, but when food isn't natural, our body needs to adjust to process it. It's funny how if we all like went through the science of it, we find out just how many foods like our body just flat out rejects. All right, my friend Joey says, pouring water into lots of cups and pitchers so I drink it and intentionally eating breakfast, walking the dogs, brain dumping into an email to myself. I'm very much a work in progress. I love how self-aware she is. This pouring water thing is brilliant because I know a lot of us, if we don't think to, we won't eat, we won't drink because we're so busy all the time, right? So she's very self-aware. And she does the little things to safeguard herself. Make sure you drink water. JJ Wett, who was the last guest on our show and talked about the science of trauma, he says, daily check-ins to see how I'm feeling. Sometimes hourly, he wrote in his comments. So he immediately caught himself and said, okay, not just daily. This is hourly. My mother-in-law, Karen, says, deep breathing so I can get a singular focus instead of myriad things. Too much on my plate panics me. This is that meditation. And clearly, she understands the power of breathing so that all those bees buzzing and all that noise can go away. So I love that one. And her husband, my father-in-law, Adam, says, keeping busy, getting stuff done around the house like chores. This is an impression, by the way. Projects, taking care of my loved ones, and of course, blowing up other people's tanks in World of Tanks. I love that. I know Adam's trying to be funny because being funny is Adam's jam. But yes, playing a video game is like therapeutic sometimes, right? My goodness. My friend Lindsay says, seeing people that are important to you, a challenge right now, I realize, weightlifting and sunshine. Sunshine is coming, baby. We're almost to spring. Just hang in there. My friend Kashin says, learning a new skill, a new dish or musical instruments, or cleaning the house. Yeah, cleaning the house can be pretty therapeutic. I followed that up, and it turns out she learned to play the violin, which she said right now is only noise. And I'd love to hear some of that noise. My friend Mike Ramchek says, sleep, period. It's the only thing that works for me. Also breathing. Don't forget to breathe, folks. If things are too much, I'll literally freeze and take deep breaths, then resume. Also exercise, even if it's a walk. This one was long, but I wanted to get this in here because at the end he says, and sex is actually the best remedy to anything, but that goes without saying. But you said it anyway, and I thank you, sir. My friend Megan says, exercising and reading and listening to a non-school book. Boom! I love that. You know, so many of us are students, or we read for a living. Being able to lose yourself in some fiction every once in a while, I think, is tremendous. My friend Lauren says, letting it all out on canvas. I'm due for some art therapy. I used to paint surreal self-portraits with symbolism of everything going on in my head. Lauren is a brilliant artist, and she said she's going to get back into these self-portraits, and I can't wait to see one of them. My friend Michelle says, it depends on whether I'm overwhelmed or numb. Coping skill or self-care should match. She is right. Finally, Jeremiah says, making sure I get some physical activity, walking, running, even gardening, love that one, all help me a great deal in addition to prayer, medication, and regular visits to my counselor. Perfect. Perfect transition. Kudos, Jeremiah, for you have just led us to the guest room where we're going to talk with my counselor. Jada Butler is going to be on the program in a minute here. Take a quick little break, and then we'll scoot over to the guest room. Meet you there. Welcome back, folks, and welcome back, Jada Butler, fan favorite Jada Butler. Hey, it's great to see you. And hey, what do you think about all those ideas folks had to do that regular maintenance on their mental health?
First of all, I have to tell you that I posted a similar question on Facebook, but it was the counter to that. What prevents you? And I got
Ooh.
zero.
Well, nobody
You
wants
know,
to talk about that,
that's
right?
exactly right. And that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, how awesome. You posed the question, what do you do to keep yourself healthy? And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, what prevents you? And people were really very forthcoming with, this is what I do and this is what
Mm-hmm.
works. And really, no one wants to talk about what prevents it, which I think is crucial. And that's kind of the whole point, is that we don't talk about it. And by not talking about it, we don't follow through with action. So, and I also want to say that pretty much every single comment that everybody made is exactly in my program.
Mm.
Every bullet point is something we touch on. There wasn't a thing you said, well, maybe the sex one, we don't go there. But other than that, we do talk about relationships.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to get to something you mentioned before, that people don't want to talk about the things that are in their way.
Mhm.
But when's the last time that you saw a client for the first time and they ran into your office and they're like, I can't wait to meet you and talk to you? I mean, sometimes you just have to get people talking, right? In order
It's
to.
it's terrifying. And it's so funny that you use the mechanic car analogy, because that's the exact same analogy I use. People come in and they're terrified, and I part of what I think drives what I do is I'm so passionate about what I do, and I really try to make people feel comfortable right out of the gates, because walking in that door is the hardest thing some people do. So I often tell new patients, thank you for the courage to come in and see me today. I'm so glad you're here. And then I tell them, like, coming to see me is like going to see the mechanic, because nobody wants to see the mechanic. You don't drive by the mechanic and say, hey, you know what? Everything's great. I just want to let you know, rock on. No, you only go see the mechanic when something is wrong or broken or making that weird noise that no one else can hear, and something's wrong, and you don't know what to do, and it if we don't maintain our mental health, it
Mm-hmm.
falls apart. And I have
Well,
blown up an engine before, so I can speak to that.
yeah, well, and that's what happens when we don't do regular maintenance, like the little like $150 here, $150 there.
Yes.
Next thing you know, yeah, you blow your engine, your car's totaled, or it's going to cost you a couple $1,000s.
Yes, been there.
And with mental health, we're kind of talking about the fact that yeah, it's a little bit of work on a regular basis, but it's a lot more work if you have to unpack something that didn't get addressed, right?
Definitely. And it's actually the I want you to know too, you don't know this. So you like to surprise me, I'm going to surprise you. Um, Doing this show for the first time, and us talking after the show about breaking down stigma and creating a conversation and creating a safe space where people feel they can talk about mental health was the whole reason I started Soul via Soul. Because
Wow.
I thought,
I'm getting misty over here now.
seriously, because I thought more people just need to know how to keep themselves between the ditches. And
Hmm.
it's not that it's rocket science, it's common basic principles, but it's having a program, it's having accountability, it's having information, it's having, evidence-based research that keeps you feeling and living your best life. And it's not that it's difficult to do, it's
Hmm.
just that the stigma still exists. So I thought, if I can meet people where they are, if I can come into their homes on an online platform where they don't have to come into the office and feel that that fear, then I can help more people. So thank you, because it was
Yeah.
actually you actually lit the fire in my belly that said I have to do more.
My
So
work here, my work here is done. Um, well, I know that the program the launch date is sort of being determined. So we absolutely want people to go to the website, soulviasoul.com. When they click that button to schedule a consultation, I have to assume you get in touch with them pretty quickly. I mean, within what, a couple of days, you guys get a chance to connect and talk?
oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I reach out right away. And then they can schedule a time right there on the website that, and I have my available time. So it's really kind of outside of my like normal work day. So I have time to sit down like on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday or a Sunday, to chat with people, which is when they're more relaxed and can have those conversations. So, yeah, I respond right away. I mean, that's the whole idea. You put yourself out there and then someone says help.
Yeah.
Um, you want to answer the call.
Uh, This is a
So,
touchy subject. Like, I had somebody call me this morning and sort of open up to me, and I first got back to him this evening, and I got their voicemail. I was like, "This is why I would make a horrible sponsor. Like, I'm here for you as a friend, but like to be there at like the drop of a hat." Like the folks who do work as sponsors and have like 3 or 4 people who they help keep sober, those people need to be like oh, canonized is the word that I'm looking for. Like, there's a
yeah,
special place in heaven for those folks.
there
Um,
is.
I want to ask you before I forget. Ariel, who reached out to us about the whole alcohol being in the
Yeah.
house thing. How and what's the best way to have that conversation? Because I'm so lucky that I haven't had to have that conversation because I outkicked my coverage and married my best friend, who's incredibly amazing.
So, that's common. And what I would tell you is that when people are wrapped in an addiction, they are actually choosing that relationship over relationships with people. So the relationship with a substance becomes paramount. And so that's what the partners often don't realize is that, um, when you're trying to be sober and you're working really hard at that, if a partner is not supporting that, then they're kind of undermining your hard work and efforts, number one, and then they're not actually also then being number one. And if you're my husband tells me all the time, honey, you're up here. This is where you are. And so if there's anything that is coming between that crucial relationship, then it's not supporting the relationship overall.
Hey, this is a good opportunity for me to talk about one of my new sponsors, and this is one that I couldn't possibly be more excited about. Gateway Foundation. That's where I did my treatment out in Aurora, and what an experience it was. Matter of fact, my next guest on the episode was in treatment with me. We're going to talk about his 2-year sober anniversary in a couple weeks. How cool is that? So, Gateway Foundation. If drugs or alcohol are starting to take over your life, it's time to be honest with yourself and get help. These days, many are at home or out of work, and the temptation to turn to alcohol and drugs to cope with stress and anxiety is stronger than ever before. Stop using now before it's too late. Gateway Foundation is here for you and your family with life-saving inpatient as well as virtual programs so you can access the help you need from the privacy of your home. Don't wait to get the help you or a loved one need. Most insurance plans are accepted. Call Gateway Foundation now at 877-505-HOPE. That's 877-505-4673 to schedule a free confidential consultation or visit gatewayfoundation.org and get the help that you need today. Jada, you're back.
I disappeared. So let me tell you something funny. Are you ready?
I am.
So when we built the house, we just moved a couple of weeks ago into a new house, and the the light switch in my son's room actually controls the internet, and he accidentally turns it off sometimes because
That's
he's 17.
Is this what happened?
I think so. Because he just
Oh
walked in.
no.
I heard him enter his room. I was like, "Oh, you are kidding me!" So we have to
Now,
fix that.
I love it. I love it. Call the electrician. I don't know. I don't know who you call for that. Um, you did just lock up for a moment again, so I am hoping that we keep
Okay.
you live here.
I'm gonna just
Hey,
move into a better space in the house. Maybe that's it.
all right. Hey, so I want to kind of turn things for a moment here, and I want to ask you, over this past year or so, have you changed up anything that you've been doing with your, regular maintenance? Given some of the things we haven't been able to do. I mean, what have you been doing to check in on yourself that maybe you weren't doing before? Anything come to mind?
Yes. And I'm going to tell you, and it's the same stressor that you have, and it's meditation because I struggle with that. And yet I know how important it is. And meditation, you're right. It's not this big woo-woo thing where you got to sit cross-legged and say, oh, meditation is simple mindfulness. So here's my favorite mindfulness hack. Are you ready?
I am.
So, and I do this because we're often in the car or we're at home. And so there's often music in the background. So I listen to a Spotify channel called High Frequency. I think it's High Frequency Music. I don't even know. And it's music that vibrates at a certain hertz, I think is how it works. But when I'm driving in the car, I listen to that music and I purposely just breathe. But you
Hmm.
can do that with anything, even walking, cooking, sitting, standing in the street. I mean, any opportunity that you can just be still,
Hmm.
you can meditate. So it's just bringing that stillness. It's grounding yourself in the moment and just bringing that stillness to the moment and just being intentional with your thoughts. So I'm really working on that. That's a work in progress for me as well.
I love that though. I love sort of the fact that we never figure everything out. I'm pretty stoked about where things are for me right now, but I'm always trying to sort of be like, okay, well, this, like maybe I'm outgrowing this. Let's try this. We're constantly changing and evolving, right? Um, I, I was
Hmm.
curious. Another thing I was curious about earlier. I mean, so now we're talking about during the pandemic. I've known you for a couple of years. I mean, let's go in the Wayback Machine. I mean, what sort of things did you struggle with when you were younger? Or were you always just like, I'm going to be a counselor. I got this.
No, I really didn't enter mental health until I was practicing as a PA and I was working in family practice medicine. And it was while working in family practice that I saw so many come in with it would say sore throat or something on the intake form, and I would go in, and this was a rapid paced family clinic, and it was a 15-minute slot, and that was pretty typical. So I would go into the room thinking, okay, so I'm going to have to swab a throat, and I'd walk in, and the person would just burst out into tears, and they would say, my throat's so sore because I haven't stopped crying for 4 days. And I'm like, well, for heaven's sakes, this is not the
Mm.
primary reason. And so I saw that probably 30% of my family practice where mental health struggles, and interestingly enough, they wouldn't tell the intake nurse I'm sad, or I think I might have depression or anxiety. They would come up with an ailment, or they were maybe physically having GI issues, and
Hmm.
they would come in and they were nauseous, and the core of that was emotional. And so I just decided that I needed to do better. I needed to
Hmm.
serve better, other than just saying, here's a referral, go see someone else. And
Yeah,
so
right there. It's like their engine blew. Where if they had done the regular maintenance, maybe the engine wouldn't have blown. I mean, all these like physical manifestations
it's
could have.
right. It's true. And in part of my program too, what we're going to explore and what is the cutting edge in psychiatry is the brain gut connection and the gut biome, and how important what we eat impacts our mental health. And making simple changes to our diet actually significantly impacts our mental health. And
Mhm.
that's just stuff people just don't know. On the way to work this morning, and we were talking about food, and I said, eat this, not that, try this, not this. And we were talking about the gut bacteria has the capacity to influence behavior. And she was like, are you
Mhm.
kidding me? I'm like, oh, I just thought everybody knew that. And she's like, no, nobody knows that. So I thought, oh, okay, well, that's just me reading research articles all day going, this is fascinating, thinking that, everyone can connect those dots. But that's part of the program, is that you get that research, you get that, these are the things that are going to actually, if you eat, improve your mental health. That's connecting the dots in a way that we never have before. So
Yeah,
it's
that's the treating somebody holistically, which I absolutely
yes.
love. Hey, I want to talk for a moment about my friends at the DUI and Behavioral Health Counseling Centers. Ron Parch and his team, proud sponsors of the program. Hey, if you think that there might be an issue for you or somebody who you love, get an evaluation for alcohol, drugs, mental health, or anger. Do it today at DUI and Behavioral Health Counseling Center in Northern Illinois. Depending on your situation, it could be free. Now, if you're loaded, if you don't know where to put all your money, you've got so much of it, it's going to run you $80. But that's the max. If you're a veteran, an NIU student, if you're unemployed, you're going to get a break in the price. So what do you have to lose? That's what Ron always emphasizes. What do you have to lose just by finding out what's going on? He and his team will use their 25 years of experience to build an individualized treatment plan that's confidential and effective, and it's based on respect. They've got offices on in Sycamore, Plano, and Crystal Lake. Check out DUISycamore.com or call 815-895-9000. Again, that's 815-895-9000 and set up that evaluation. Whether it's for substance abuse, mental illness, anger management, start there with that evaluation. So write this down one more time. Call 815-895-9000 or visit DUISycamore.com. Now, coming back to Jada, hey, I want to ask you about, because, I started out in the program talking about my personal program. And I want to ask you, what's it like because so much of what you do is focusing on living a good life rather than, I know that there's a certain amount of unpacking and talking about things that goes into helping somebody out and treating somebody. But ultimately, we want to get to a place where life is good. So for me, that was to stop sitting in the gunk of my past life and thinking about the things that had gone wrong and to start running toward what I wanted. What's it like for you when that switch flips in somebody? Because for me, that changed the entire game when it was no longer running from bad and it was running toward good.
This was literally what I talked to my sister with today. And she has struggled with her weight, and she gave me permission to talk about her. So she said, you can share my story if you think it's helpful. And, she has struggled with her weight and health over the years. And she said, it's really hard for me to think about something I got to give up. And I said, well, that's the problem. You have to reframe it. It's not something you're walking away from. It's something you're running toward. You are running toward health. You're running toward wellness. You're running toward better sleep, improved relationship with food and your body. You're running toward a better life. And if you look at it that way, why wouldn't you do that? And that's the thing, is if we have to, number one, we have to say we're women. We have to say, there's some things I can spend my money on, but I'm going to invest in me and I'm worth it. And
Mm-hmm.
what else? I mean, how important is your health and wellness? How important is it to invest in yourself, to understand learning principles that could change the rest of your life and put you on that sunshiny road that you talk about, and that's the ultimate goal of the program, because it says slash anxiety, but what do we get to? We get to purpose driven, passion filled. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know about you, but I want my life passion filled. And that's the end goal. We want to
Mm-hmm.
get to that space where, the sun is shining every day and we are leaping into our purpose and our passion. And I know now without a doubt, this is my passion. This is my
Mm-hmm.
purpose. I am put here on this earth to help lead people to improved health and wellness. And I'll do it in whatever means I can. And I
That's
know
awesome.
that now.
Yeah, isn't that
So
great to come into your own? I love it. And I don't care
yeah,
if you're I don't care if you're 1865. Like we all arrive in different places at
yeah,
different times.
we do.
All right. So we couldn't have a show with you on it without talking about racing a little bit. So I am wondering, what is your marathon PR out of curiosity?
Okay, so my PR is 3:39.
3:39. Okay.
Did you get that?
I did. I did.
It's
So
3:39. I disappeared for a second.
yeah, 3:39. It's impressive. And I'm going to get there someday. But here's where I'm going with this is that we are going to exclusively be doing trail races this year. So
Yeah.
I would love to challenge you to run a trail race
Oh,
sometime.
you know what? I love trail racing. I ran cross country in college. So I run on the trails probably every single weekend. So I I'm going to accept that challenge as long as it's not like super duper long. I don't want to run super duper long.
You don't want to do the 50K?
Oh,
Because that's
when
what I
is
was
that?
talking about.
When is that?
It's in October. You have so much time to get ready.
Oh, you're right. Maybe I could say yes to that.
Okay. All right. So we have a commitment to run a trail race together with the potential of it being the 50K.
Oh, wow. That's a throwdown.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
surprised
Well,
me.
I try. I try. Well, we'll have to circle back in a little while and see how we're all feeling about that. So I really appreciate you coming on. I'm so excited about the program that you're launching. And once again, folks, check it out at soulviasoul.com. Thank you. Deshaun has put it up on the screen here. For those of you listening, it is soulviasole.com. 8-week program, going to totally help you re-rack your life, find your higher purpose. So Jada, as always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on here, and I can't wait to catch up with you soon.
No, I'm so sorry about the technical difficulties. There's going to be a stern talking to.
Good, as long as that's all I can ask.
Thank
All
you.
right, of course. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right, folks. She's awesome, isn't she? Love Jada. So, hey, reflecting on this glitchy program. I'm glad you guys have hung with us tonight because there's a lot of great stuff that came out of that conversation. And again, I want to come back to the fact that I have this program that keeps me sober, but it keeps me happy too. And you don't have to have mental illness to benefit from a program. You don't have to have an addiction to benefit from a program. You're probably addicted to something already. Is it exercise? Is it food? Is it vanity? Is it television? We all have things that we're addicted to. So how do we address that? We put together a program for ourselves. We take time to take care of ourselves, be that exercise, meditation, underwater basket weaving, whatever trips your trigger. So I hope you guys are constantly taking the opportunity, or maybe not constantly, but regularly taking the opportunity to make sure that you're loving you some you. In a couple of weeks, we are going to be joined by my good friend Dominic. I met Dominic in treatment. I remember like it was yesterday because I was scared out of my mind, and he's the first guy who walked up to me, introduced himself, and immediately made me feel a little less terrified. We'll just say that. So we're going to talk about our time in treatment together. We're going to talk about what's unfolded in our lives since then. I know he and his wife have expanded their little family. I know he's itching to get back out on the lake and do some bass fishing. But yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about this transformation that happens where, we go from, a life that just, it just wasn't working to all of a sudden life unlocked, man. It's pretty cool stuff. So I can't wait to have Dom on the show. So until then, folks, I really appreciate you hanging out with me. It's always good to see you. And let's always remember that no matter what's happening outside of here, even if the world feels like it's falling apart out there, in here we are always coming together. Love you guys. We'll see you soon.